There's just nothing like waking up early before the rest of the world, heading out when it's still dark. You can see nothing, but you know that landscape is right there waiting for you. And probably that's one of the reasons why I love shooting landscapes the most. Not because of the photo, not because of the shot, but because of what it asks from you. Before you even press record, before you even take the frame, the waiting, the silence, the uncertainty, and sometimes the journey gives you something far bigger than the image you came for. And that's what happened to me in Socotra. But to explain that, I need to go back for a second. Before photography, before filmmaking, before drones, before any of this, I was a classical guitarist. For 7 years, I traveled around the world playing classical guitar recitals. And of course, I loved music. But if I'm honest, the thing I miss the most isn't even the stage. It's what that life allowed me to live. It gave me access to places in a way tourism never could. It wasn't just passing through. I was entering places with a reason to be there. I could feel them deeper, slower, from the inside. Not as a viewer, not as someone collecting destinations, but as someone actually living them. And that feeling stayed with me. Because when music left, photography took its place. Different tool, same pool. A lot of people think photography is about the camera, about the lens, about the drone, about the settings, about the gear, but for me, it never really was. It's not the gear, it's not even what I'm shooting, it's where photography takes me. That's the real thing. The hike in the dark, the alarm clock you hate until the sky changes color, the long wait for the light to hit just right, the feeling of being somewhere most people will never truly experience. That's what I remember. The feeling, always the feeling. And then Socotra took that idea and pushed it further than I ever expected. Socotra is one of those places that almost looks invented. A place so surreal, it feels like someone designed it for fantasy films and then just left in the Indian Ocean. You go there for the landscapes, sure. For the dragon blood trees, for the cliffs, for the dunes, for that impossible feeling of standing inside a place that doesn't quite look like Earth. But Socotra is also part of Yemen. And that means that even when the island feels peaceful, it exists inside a much bigger and more fragile political reality. The island is Yemeni, but over the years it also became part of a wider struggle for influence in the south, between Yemeni actors, the Southern Transitional Council, and the regional weight of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So, even when everything around you looks calm, you know you are not in a simple place. And then, during our trip, that reality stopped being background noise because we got stuck there. Now, here's the strange part. Back home, people were seeing the news. Yemen, conflict, military tension, armored vehicles on TV. And our parents were terrified, which makes sense. Because when your son is abroad and the news starts showing that kind of imagery, your imagination does the rest. But the reality we were living on the island was completely different. We never saw a tank, not one, no chaos in front of us, no scenes of panic, no war movie. What we felt was something quieter, uncertainty, the kind of uncertainty that doesn't scream. It just sits next to you at breakfast, in the car, at sunset, before sleep. You keep checking for updates, you keep hoping for news, and you keep telling yourself it's probably fine, and then you do it all again the next day. And maybe I would have experienced all of that differently if I had been alone, but I wasn't. I was there with my partner, and back home with the grandparents there was our little boy. And that changes the emotional weight of everything. Because once you become a parent, distance is never just distance anymore. Every extra day away has a cost. Every unclear answer feels bigger. Every delay feels heavier. Every "we still don't know" lands differently. And suddenly, this isn't just an usual travel story, it becomes something else. You are in one of the most beautiful places you've ever seen, and at the same time, part of you is somewhere else completely. At home with your child. That split, that emotional split, is something I don't think I'll ever forget. Because in those days of uncertainty, what stood out more than anything was the people. The humanity there is hard to explain without sounding like I'm exaggerating. So I'll just say it's simple. People helped us, genuinely, naturally, without performance, without calculation. They reassured us, they stayed close, they made an uncertain situation feel human. And that matters, because when you travel, you often remember a place for how it looked, but sometimes you remember it for how people held it together while you were there. That's Socotra for me, not just a wild landscape, not just an unreal horizon, a place where, in a strange moment of vulnerability, we found real human warmth. And honestly, that's rarer than a landscape. And this is the point of the whole video, because when I look back at the photos and footage from that trip, I'm not just going to see compositions. I'm going to see context, I'm going to see the waiting, the unanswered questions, my parents worrying at home, my partner beside me, my child far away, the kindness of strangers, the weird stillness of a place that felt both peaceful and fragile at the same time. That's what the image holds now. That's why a photo matters to me, not because it looks good, not because it performs well, not because it gets attention, but because it becomes a container for memory, for emotion, for fear, for gratitude. For everything that there is around that frame that nobody else can fully see. That's why every image should mean something, because one day you won't look at it and think, okay, nice shot. You'll look at it and remember who you were when you took it. So, no, it's not the gear, it's not even what I'm shooting, it's where photography takes me. Before, music gave me that, now photography does. It takes me into landscapes, yes, but more than that, it takes me into experiences, into stories, into tension, into beauty, into real life. And Socotra gave me one of the strongest reminders of that I've ever had. A journey I'll never separate from the images I made there. And if you want to see the visual side of the journey, the landscapes, the atmosphere, the beauty of the island, I leave a link here to Taste of Socotra, because this video, this one, was about what those images mean to me now. It's not about the photo, it's not about the shot, it's about the journey.